AWL Sports, where we review all the best sports takes from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why should I watch your show right now? And it's like, because here we actually care about your comments. We actually care about what you have to say. Over there, they don't. They say this all the time, that they don't even read the comments, that they don't care. They talk down to us. They think we're a bunch of clowns. I disagree. I think we actually know what we're talking about. So if you think what I'm saying is crazy, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is amazing, also let me know in the comments below. Either way, let's have some conversations, let's get into some fights, and ultimately, let's just have some fun. I read every single comment, and I want to really build a truly engaged community. And also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really, really helps with the algorithm and helps with visibility. And also, please subscribe. I really want to build a special community here. We're well on our way doing it. It's been so awesome so far, and it costs nothing to you, and it means everything to me. So if you can, please give this video a thumbs up and definitely subscribe. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're with Colin Cowherd right now, talking about the Cowboys' loss to the Dolphins.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So the Dallas Cowboys lost to Miami. I won't get into the officiating, but wasn't this the season that things were going to be different for Dallas? Mike McCarthy preached, we are going to run the football more, be less reliant on Dak, physical. No, they just wanted to push Kellen Moore out of the building because Mike McCarthy was threatened by him. Once again, the Cowboys are totally Dak reliant.
Okay, I have to interject because Colin is completely flip-flopping, which I respect you changing your opinion based on new information. That is what intelligent people do. You should, if you had an opinion a few weeks ago and then you got new information and now you're changing it, that is you being intelligent, not stupid. By keeping the same opinion despite new information and evidence, that makes you just not smart, okay? So I totally respect people changing their opinions. But what he's saying right now is absurd. He was praising the Cowboys. He was praising Mike McCarthy. He was saying, we don't need Kellen Moore. I mean, and he thought originally that, losing their offensive coordinator wasn't a good idea. But he then completely turned the corner and said, wow, Mike McCarthy might be a better coach than we ever thought of. And he was talking about, comparing Aaron Rodgers' numbers with Mike McCarthy, without, and how Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winner and all this. He really elevated Mike McCarthy as a legitimate, true coach. And now he kind of just undercut him and took a stab at him. That doesn't really make sense to me at all. And that's the problem with becoming the prisoner of a moment. The Dallas Cowboys stock was rising. They were looking really good. They won a big game against the Eagles, which again, who have been proven that they can get got. So I don't really see it as that big of a game. And here we are. I mean, what happened with Dallas versus, Miami is exactly what I said. Dallas has not proven that they can win big games on the road. Dak Prescott hasn't really proven that he can truly win big games on the road. Sure, can we find one example of this? Absolutely. But you have to consistently be able to do that. Just look at what the Ravens did and Lamar Jackson did to the 49ers. That is against a significantly better team in a significantly more hostile environment with a fan base and a team that thinks we can win a Super Bowl. We are ready to go. The 49ers, that is. And the Ravens marched right in, underdogs, and said, no. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to go through us. If we want to say that the Cowboys are elite and that Dak is elite, then the Cowboys should have been able to march right into the Dolphins state, right into to play the Dolphins and do that and push them around. And they couldn't. They just couldn't. They looked not good, and we cannot blame the refs. Were there bad calls? Yes, there are bad calls for both sides. This happens every single NFL game. Every single game, there are good calls and bad calls. Sometimes you're on the good side of it, and sometimes you're on the bad side of it. This happens every single game, whether it's really highlighted by the broadcast or by the commentators. That's that remains to be seen. But it always happens. You cannot blame the refs. This isn't these aren't some of the most egregious calls you have ever seen, like we've seen in the past. Were they the best calls? No, but you cannot blame the refs. That's not why you lost the game. Did the refs cause you to fumble that ball? Did the refs cause you to only put up 20 points against the Dolphins? No, okay? That is not the ref's fault. You have to overcome these things, okay? You have to. Everyone gets bad calls. Everyone gets bad calls. So to blame the refs is just, that's absurd, and that's embarrassing, honestly. It never comes down to just those one or two plays if you're a legit team. If you're a true elite team, it does not come down to just those one or two plays.
Tony Pollard has had one 100-yard rushing game, week 3. Mike McCarthy wanted Kellen Moore out of the building because Mike McCarthy is threatened by lots of things.
You were talking so highly about him.
Remember that before Dallas went down to his basement, an analytics crew, and then told everybody he watched every Cowboy play the previous season. Later acknowledged, yeah, I didn't. The Cowboys, once again, are totally Dak reliant. 7-1 when he doesn't turn it over. Sub 500 when he does at least once. I said, and I'll say it again, I said at the trade deadline, you got to go get Derrick Henry. You got to have a physical presence. You're not going to be totally Dak reliant in road games and win against high-scoring offenses. Because every road game for the Cowboys against a decent offense looks the same. One turnover, average to slightly above average head coach, a B-plus quarterback. They all look the same, and Dallas can't run and doesn't run. And that's all we heard all offseason. That's it, right? It's a new day. It's a new team. It's a new physicality. Oh, nonsense. Jerry Jones is a great salesman, but he doesn't have a very good BS radar. And Mike McCarthy keeps telling him what he wants to hear. I watched every one of your plays before I came here. No, they didn't. We're going to be physical and run the football. No, they don't. Totally Dak reliant. The 3 times this year Dallas has had to face like a top 5 or 6 offense. San Francisco, number 3. Miami, number 1. Buffalo, number 6. Dallas can't run the ball because Tony Pollard's a second back. He's an off-speed pitch. He's a breaking pitch. He's not a Derrick Henry. You can't lean behind him. So what happens? Dak gets into a shootout as a B-plus quarterback on the road with high-powered offenses. And Dallas is going to lose a lot of those games. And Dak through the...
So, and that's the thing. I don't get why Dallas fans... I get you being a fan, right? And Dallas has a very vocal fan base, massive fan base. So I get that they defend Dak and they defend the Cowboys. But this is what I don't get. If you're a Cowboys fan, don't you want your team to be better? Don't you want Dak to be better? They always want to make excuses rather than acknowledge the deficits that their quarterback or that their team or that their coach has. I mean, this has been a consistent narrative for the Cowboys, that they can't win these games. I mean, and they don't go all in. Think about what the true big teams do to win Super Bowls and do what they need to do, right? The Rams, they went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. They went out and got, the defensive player from the Broncos. I can't think of his name right now. Sorry. But right, they made big moves that they got Matthew Stafford. They made big moves that they needed to do, and they got a Super Bowl. The 49ers, went out, made a splash, got Christian McCaffrey, did what they needed to do. The 49ers also, and then this year, went out, got Chase Hill, right? They actually truly added players to be like, we need to bulk up our team, let's go. The Cowboys didn't do any of that, and that's kind of what Colin's pointing out now. During this regular season, they could have tried to make a move for Derrick Henry, or they could have tried to make a move for another wide receiver, Devontae Adams. They could have done these things, and they didn't. They didn't go out, right? The Eagles went out and got A.J. Brown, right? And that led them that was a big reason why they went to the Super Bowl. They actually made these moves. The Eagles, when they won their Super Bowl years ago, they went out, they needed a running game, and they got the guy from England, I think he was from London. Again, so terrible I remember people's names. But they made big moves. You can see this consistently with teams for the most part, whether it's basketball, baseball, football. The teams, a lot of times when the teams win the Super Bowl, you can point to major key acquisitions, either the season before or in the middle of the season. You see this time and time again, especially in football and basketball, that there's some sort of midseason trade or some sort of midseason signing that ends up being huge come time in the playoffs, which ultimately leads to their success. The Cowboys did not do that. The Cowboys saw that they had a really good team, but they clearly were not next level elite, and they could have made a play to get like a Derrick Henry or Devontae Adams. Like they could have done something, and they didn't. They just didn't. And you don't think their team would be better with one of those two players? I mean, most definitely they would be. And they could have made it. It was a different conference. Like those teams would have been more likely to trade. And that was the benefit that the 49ers got with being able to make a deal with the Commanders, because the Commanders were never going to give those players up to the Cowboys or the Eagles. So the 49ers kind of got that benefit with regards to that. But I think, the Cowboys are consistently telling us who they are, honestly. So I think when you watch that game, it's obvious that the Cowboys are just, they're a good team. They can beat other good teams, but they're not elite. When they play elite teams, they're clearly not good. And when they play another pretty good team, it's like you can't say, oh, well, Cowboys got this. When two good teams play head to head, the Cowboys got this. No, they don't. You can't trust, the Cowboys in these big spots. There's no reason why the Cowboys were not able to win that game yesterday. There's no reason why, 2 days ago. There was no reason why that the Cowboys couldn't have stepped up and had a big night. And they just didn't. That's why you can't blame the refs. You can't blame the refs in that situation, because it's not the refs' fault that you didn't show out. It's not the refs' fault that you didn't have a big night. It's your own fault. It's undisputable.
Years has lost a lot of those games. Dak was at his very best his first couple of years when Zeke was his best running back in the league, and the Cowboys' own line was the best in the NFL. And you go into this game against Miami, and your great all-world left tackle Tyron Smith's not
Was that
there,
the ref's fault that you didn't get in the end zone there?
You can't run the football. This was all about Mike McCarthy once again saying whatever it takes to impress Jerry and keep Jerry off his back and retain his employment. This was going to be different. We're going to run the ball, less Dak reliant. The team's totally reliant on Dak, who, when he faces, like a Josh Allen or a lot of weapons with Miami or a lot of weapons with the Niners, has to save the day, and that's not who Dak is. Dak's good. He's not special. Doesn't have a great arm. Doesn't run around like Lamar Jackson. He's good.
I think he's a better version of Brock Purdy. More mobile than Brock Purdy.
We can't run the ball.
Dak, that is.
You have a coach situationally that scares us away from home. This is what Dallas games look like against another team that can score. And again, Mike McCarthy just wanted Kellen Moore out of the building. That's what he wanted. He wanted Kellen out of here because Kellen was a threat. And he keeps telling Jerry what he wants to hear. But I still think when Dallas plays with Tyron Smith available at left tackle, I think it's a good team. Very good team. Tyron Smith leaves, Bradley Chubb looks like Lawrence Taylor. Tyron Smith plays, Bradley Chubb would have been invisible. But Tyron Smith didn't play, and you don't run the ball. And it's a bunch of promises you've never kept, and you lost again. It's not the end of the season, but doesn't it feel like Groundhog Day? Here's Dak after.
I mean, I guess it feeds it, right? We didn't come out with the win, but I can tell you the confidence is high from that group. Obviously, this one sucks. It hurts, especially as you just said in the manner that we lost this one. But the confidence is high in these guys. We understand that we can. Obviously, we haven't done it, but we will. And obviously, the road forward looks like we'll be going on the road.
So the confidence is high, and this is the problem when you don't take responsibility, but I guess kind of technically the benefit of not taking responsibility. They don't see that they lost that game, right? They see that game, that they got screwed by the refs. So they see it as, we're a great elite team. We had that victory, but the refs kind of took it away from us. So on one side, it kind of keeps their confidence. So it's like, okay, I guess that's good, right? You need to have confidence. But at the other side, it doesn't make them look in the mirror and face the reality and say, what do we need to change? So, now, so what this really falls on, the coaching staff now. Does the coaching staff say, keep that confidence up? Yes, we got screwed by the refs, but look at all these mistakes we made, or look, we lost this game too. We need to be better. That's, what this also comes down to. So that's the difference between a well-run franchise and a well-run coaching staff and not, right? Who kind of there's so much adversity throughout a season, so much adversity within the locker room, with players, with other teams, with the refs, with the media. And the truth is that I don't see these guys as men, honestly. They're boys, a lot of them. They're in their early 20s. Like, I mean, they're not these grown men who have just endless experience. But the coaching staff typically does. They're the ones that already, the coaching staff often has kids who are already like in college and stuff, or, I mean, like these are true men. So I look more to the coaching staff to be able to hold everyone together. A lot of these football players are, 23, 24, 25, like they're young. They don't have a ton of experience. All they know is just football. So I think this is where the coaching staff will shine if they're capable of. And of course, I have no idea. So it'll be really interesting to see what the Cowboys do from here, because it just they don't ever seem to really ever have an existential crisis. They never seem to face the reality and look in the mirror. And on one side, it's like, again, it helps with the confidence, but then you never get to grow. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles won yesterday, and yet none of them are happy. They're still upset with how they're playing, right? And they won the game. The Cowboys lost this game, and they feel good about it. And the truth is, they shouldn't. They shouldn't feel confident. They shouldn't feel good. They should go, Dak Prescott should have said, we have a lot of questions we need answered. And I guess on one side, you don't want to sound the alarm, because then you could spiral, right? And then you could become kind of disastrous. On one side, it's kind of like fake it till you make it. But at the same time, you have to face reality. In sports, fake it till you make it only gets you so far, honestly. And fake it till you make it can work in the regular season. It cannot work in the playoffs. You can't fake it against the 49ers. You can't fake it against the Ravens. You can't fake it against Josh Allen and the Bills. You just can't. You can't fake it against the Eagles. I mean, the best bet against a team like the Eagles would be that you just hope that the Eagles can't bring it, right? You just hope that Jalen Hurts isn't having a great game, or that A.J. Brown is, not getting open and things like that. Because if the Eagles are firing at all cylinders and they kind of right the ship, which who's to know that if they even can, but let's just say they can, then I don't think the Cowboys really have a chance, honestly. The Cowboys need other factors to fall into place, right? They need the perfect the refs to not miss any calls. They need the Eagles to not be playing great ball. They would need the 49ers to definitely not play great ball, right? The Ravens, any of these other teams. But if everyone's playing great ball, and if the refs aren't, blatantly messing things up, or blatantly, helping another team out, obviously not on purpose, but just in general with their calls, then the Cowboys, are just only going to be so successful. So that's my thoughts on it. Really, ultimately, the Cowboys need perfect causes and conditions to win, while these other teams, like the Ravens, like the 49ers even, don't. So that's my view. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's all free to you, and it means everything to me. See you next time, and thanks so much.